शारदा शारदाम्बोज वदना वदनाम्बुजै सर्वथा सर्वथास्माकं सन्निधिं क्रिया गुरुब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्मं तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। Dear Bishan, Fennel, Senior Counsel Supakar, and my professional colleagues and few of the senior counsels have joined for this talk. Out of the many speeches so far done and which we may do in future, I consider today this moment very, very precious. Personally, very precious. For the simple reason, we are going to deliberate upon one of the legends of this nation who has lived a life which cannot be captured in a talk or a book. He has touched the hearts of millions, and he has come into contact with thousands and thousands of people across the world and had impacted them. And everyone who had come into his connect had chosen to say or contribute something about him. Therefore, I consider it precious for the simple reason. Today, Gujarat chapter has permitted me to speak a very, very few words about one of India's greatest legends. And I consider this as an offering to one of India's finest intellectuals. And to be part of this whole ocean, to be part of this, as a speck to be part of it, consider it very, very fortunate. What I have done through this effort is, all of us either would have heard or would have read or would have known about Naniji in some shades. Many of us know it was he who evolved, who made a constitution which was a document, which was our mother document of this, to drive the nation, and transformed and translated it into letter and spirit for about 30 years. He started appearing in Supreme Court for the first time in 1953. And it was a golden era between 1965 to 1995, 3 long decades. He has been doing his very best in contributing to the might, the cause of India, Indians, and the democratic process. So many have written about it, many have spoken about it, and if you just click his name or his centenary celebrations, you will find several videos and several articles about him. So to rerun it one more time, how he started arguing the various constitutional issues, including the landmark judgment of Kesavananda Bharati, Minerva Mills, and all bank nationalization case, everything. We thought we will put forth a perspective which is not so well known in public domain. The perspective of great stalwarts who have lived with him and interacted with him and who have spoken about him. In fact, I should be thankful to Arvind Dattar sir, because what I did was, I will be putting it up in the slideshow also. He has released during the centenary a book called Essays and Reminiscence, of which there is an exclusive chapter on reminiscence, pages 267 to 395, 128 pages, where about 29 stalwarts had contributed. The rest of the sections are also contributed by very leading writers and experts. They have shared their personal interactions with Naniji. So when you go through that, you'll find, oh, what a noble, simple, humble, and an astounding personality. One will be remembered after their departure, only when somebody had been very noble, simple, and humble all throughout their life. And there is ample testimony of bringing out the various shades, perspectives, and the life important scaling events of Naniji through these stalwarts. So I took the consent from him, and I shall be running through a slideshow, bringing out the perspectives as spoken or written by them. In fact, we could have made it into a talk, but that may not be very impactful. For the reason, each writer has chiseled certain expressions of fine importance, a perspective which will impact, choice of words which will create, leave memories about him. So I thought we should take that essence as such. And it's a request. I make two requests before I start the show. Request one, after the speech, when you find time, please buy this very book and you should read it. So that what I give is only the essence, a forerunner, which will promote you to induce you to read this whole text as it is and enjoy it. And two, please do share this information, this talk, if you find it useful, to as many young professionals as is possible, irrespective of the field of practice. Because Naniji has proved something so clear. Unless you are a good human being, there's no point in becoming a good lawyer or a great lawyer or a great person. Greatness precedes goodness. Goodness precedes greatness. And he has showed it, how he has been good all throughout his life. So with this background, let me now venture to share the screen with a few slides and what people have spoken and written about Naniji. This is taken out of the book, Essays and Reminiscences, and would request you to buy this book post this session. Before we venture to speak about the greatness of Naniji, it's but imperative that we remember two great people of this country, late J.R.G. Tata and late M.R. Pai. Nature, when you start scaling up in life, each one of you will start experiencing it, that you will have somebody to support you, somebody to guide you, and somebody to be with you, handhold you, care for you, nurture, support. In some cases, it may even be a godfather type of a support. But in Naniji's case, he may not require that. But these two people, two great human beings, have been of immense support and relevance in Nani's life. But when you go and read what they have said about him, in fact, late J.R.D. Tata keeps recording it in various essays that he has benefited the most out of Naniji. He has helped in the growth of his empire, the growth of his development of his business, and they grew up in stature and size because of Nani's help. But it's equally true that the support of Tataji has indeed been immense in the life of Naniji. In the case of M.R. Pai, all of us know that when Shroff was trying to identify a new speaker for the budget in 1957, it was M.R. Pai who discovered Naniji and who gave the first budget lecture in 1958 in the hotel, which is Green Hotel, which has become famous because of the budget speech. It's a handful of people, 100 or plus, which grew in size over the years in the Bourbon Stadium to even 1 lakh people witnessing it. And he went on and on till, say, 1994, and he stopped thereafter. His final budget speech was in Doordarshan in 1995, after which he never spoke. So Pai, who was the secretary to the Forum of Free Enterprise for a long, long time, again has been one who has been a close confidant, and even personal exchanges between them had happened, is what people who are very close to him had told us. So we will remember these two great people as we step into understanding Naniji as one of the greatest human beings India could have ever had. This is what M.L. Bhakta has to say about Naniji. Why is he called? You would have seen the caption, multifaceted legal Mukta. Why is he multifaceted? May I only make one request? This slideshow has certain essence of each one of them. I would like to slowly read and request each of the viewer to follow the voice along with the slide so that we are able to absorb the intended impact in which all these stalwarts had written about him. He is a multifaceted personality because he was a great lawyer, an eminent jurist, outstanding personality, brilliant scholar, a great philanthropist, internationally recognized constitutional expert, a master in advocacy, a savior of our democracy, an outstanding orator, a person bestowed with photographic memory, a highly successful diplomat, above all, a great human being with kindness and affection in his heart. And the writer says, Palkiwala is still not complete. He says there are 4 great boons which Palkiwala was bestowed with: exceptional memory, unmatched advocacy, selfless generosity, and virtuous humility. When I shared these slides with few of our close well-wishers to just review it, one of the senior advocates, Mani Shankar from our Madras bar, said, why don't we think Palkiwala as a magic? So this is what he has to coin: exceptional memory, unmatched advocacy, selfless generosity, supreme intellectual, and above all, epitome of courtesy. Dharmendra Bhandari, who has been a close friend from Rajasthan to Naniji, compares himself with Kushela. And this is what he quotes Nani as a friend. Emerson says, the glory of friendship is not the outstretched hand, not the kindly smile, nor the joy of companionship. It is the spiritual inspiration that comes to one when you discover that someone else believes in you and is willing to trust you with a friendship. God's gift to India and the most inspirational of friends. Friendship blossoms only on account of trust. And look at the trust a friend of his shares that he had reposed on him all throughout his life. This is what Shirin Barucha has to say. Unraveled, the forgotten, but the essential unity of religion. Our land is a place where it assimilates everybody. You see the cultural history of India for yugas. Whoever comes into India, it assimilates. And it assimilates them along with our cultural values. So one who is disconnected or strikes a discordant note is only an ample testimony or a proof to say that the assimilation is yet to be complete in them. Because this is a land which assimilates. And he has always worked for the unity of religion, championed the rights of the downtrodden, upholding the tenets of social justice, preserved and protected the basic structure of the Constitution for generations, ensuring sanctity of fundamental rights for all, ruthless decoder of mysteries of each year's national budget for the multitude. Look at his accolades. He catalogs the accolades of Naniji. Honorary degrees in law, not degree in law, degrees in law. Honorary professorships. Member of the first and the second law commissions. Directorships of leading companies of his time. A postage stamp issued in his honor. Ambassadorship to the United States. Representative of India in international forums. Padma Vibhushan for his extraordinary services to the nation. This is what Nani stood for throughout his life. Take the case of a rawest junior. The poorest staff and the needy got from him the same courteous treatment, considerate hearing, generosity of time and resources. And when Shirin asks Nani, how is this possible to you? Nani replies, as he has said many times, there, but for the grace of God, go I. He never thought his ego was the limit, was the ultimate. He always felt is beneath and beseeched the kindness, what nature or God or spirit or a superior force, in whatever way you call, believed in that. Leading senior counsel, one of the oldest wizard of the Bombay Bar, Iqbal Chagla, has to say this. He was so uniquely himself, a man of genius who never lost the virtue of humility, a man of singular simplicity, graced with unbounded warmth and kindness. Doesn't mean he was weak or meek. Chagla says he is non-negotiable, a man of letters as much as of the law. When Chagla's father, MC Chagla, had to celebrate his 80th birthday, it's the duty of every child, every son or a daughter to do it. But look at this. This is what Nani did. Nani hosted the 80th birthday of MC Chagla, robbing the invitation from his son, and said, "No, Iqbal, please, this is one occasion. You must allow me to host the party." And why? Not only is he very dear to me, I owe him more than I can ever repay. MC Chagla was the one with whom he had to work out, fight, argue, and persuade years in his initial career growth stage at the Bombay High Court. And this is what he has to say when he had to celebrate that great genius 80th birthday. Justice Khanna. On the review of Keshavananda Bharati, this is what he had to say. The height of eloquence to which Palkiwala rose on that day has seldom been equated and never surpassed in the Supreme Court. Long after we have heard him, we find his words echoing in our memory and leaving a trail of pleasant remembrance. During his last illness, Justice Khanna remarked, it was divinity speaking through him. Dilip Chokshi. When he requested personally that Naniji should contest elections, he declined. And this is what he had to say, a deep realization of what commitment to the nation is and what humility means. He was the true nationalist all throughout his life. He loved India and he wanted to see India as a nation of pride. And he did his very best in bringing India, in scaling up in that graph. He recognized the hand of providence in shaping one's destiny. You must know that he is a believer in astrology. I'm going to show a slide on that a little later. Every action and thought based on fairness and justice was his hallmark. And he declined judgeship to the Supreme Court twice. This statement, he made it when he declined a second time. Could do more as a counsel in molding the thoughts and decisions. And history stands testimony to it. All of you would be knowing he was offered also the constitutional recognized post of what highest which a lawyer can reach in his life, the post of an attorney general, and he gave a consent to the law minister. And before it could come as a notification, that night he woke up at 3 o'clock and he said, I am one who will always have full sleep. For us, feel that the decisions I have taken recently may not be right. And therefore, early in the morning, he called up the law minister and declined, and rest is history. Had he been an Attorney General of India, we could not have seen a bank nationalization or a Keshavananda Bharati in support of the citizens. So he declined judgeship twice and also the post of Attorney General. There are two instances Chokshi reports which compels us to believe, oh, what a great human being Naniji was. He was in the middle of a hearing in the Supreme Court. Very, very active matter is in progress. At the end of the day, at 4 o'clock, he makes a request that can this matter be had the day after, and needed a break because he has to go back to Bombay. Because the request from Naniji, judges did not decline and adjourned the matter to the third day. He flew back to Bombay to do a tribunal matter before the ITAT to represent his own school teacher, his personal case. Flew back again that evening to Delhi and resumed the proceedings the next day in the Supreme Court. And Chokshi also narrates one of his personal incidents. When his son has to go for a higher study, he wanted to go and take the blessings of Naniji before he leaves. So he sought an appointment, and Naniji gave that appointment in the afternoon on a particular day in the Bombay house. So when the father and son were about to leave, they got a call from his secretary, Naniji's secretary, to say, Naniji will be late by 15 minutes, you can come a little late. But they were very particular that they should not miss Naniji, so they went on time. He rushed back, met them for a few minutes, and said he was in a great hurry. And even then he asked them, should I drop you? If so, let me get dropped first, and then I'll go later. They said, no, we will manage our way. Secretary then informs these two people. He had been with the governor so long for a meeting, and he had to go for a lunch with certain foreign dignitaries. But because he has given you an appointment here, He rushed to Bombay House just to honor your appointment, and he's going back to meet those foreign dignitaries. That's the kind of person Nani has. His approach to life, a training of mind and heart, and the dynamism of character. He invested. This is very important. Big people, great people do this. This is something which we should take home. He invested in every little act of his glorious life with meaning and significance. Behram Palkiwala. Here was a man who was ferociously guarding the rights and liberties of a common man and simultaneously trying to preserve the integrity of the nation. What made Nani truly special was not only his phenomenal mind, but also his deep sense of morality, his fine-tuned sense of justice, and unshakable belief in democracy. Soli Dastur. His humility was legendary. Everybody speaks about it. Always appreciative of the work of the juniors who appeared with him, and also acknowledged the same in the court. A rarity amongst seniors. Unfailing demonstrated kindness and consideration. Naniji released the 7th edition of Kangan Palkiwala, and Dasturji reviewed it for Illustrated Weekly and did say that certain new chapters have not been commented upon in that review. So, Dastur Saab writes in his article, had it been anyone else, they would have taken it in the offensive. But look at Naniji's reply in response to the review by Dasturji. Even when you made the perfectly valid point that the book lacked commentary on the new sections, you have put it in such a touchingly gracious way. Never did a person who had appealed to this generous nature went away disappointed. Famous Ashok Desai, former Attorney General of India. He recollects who were Nani's students. Nani as a teacher had a remarkable group of students who later dominated the bar and the bench. Madhukar Kania, former Chief Justice of India. Fali S. Nariman, Anil Diwan, Soli Sorabji, Ashok Desai himself. When the emergency was declared, Naniji couldn't believe it because he was holding the brief of the then Prime Minister. He couldn't believe it, and he put all his efforts possible under his command to dissuade this from happening, or at least first stage reaction to dilute it. He tried the whole best, but nothing happened. By the evening, they started to receive telex messages who has been planned to be arrested. So Ashok Desai requested Nani that he should lead, and this is how a private meeting in the name of Bombay Committee of Lawyers for Civil Liberties. And Naniji did not fear, and he led it. So private passes were issued to advocates, and a police permission was required, and they sent it to the police informing that this is not a public gathering, this is a private meeting amongst lawyers, and even eminent jurists would be addressing. In fact, MC Chagla and rest of the two judges, retired two leading judges, also addressed the meeting. But police denied the permission. So a petition was filed, and Naniji was asked to lead. 150 lawyers appeared along with Naniji, and it came before one of the best and the boldest benches of the Bombay High Court, Justice Kantawala and Justice Puljapukar, who always believed in holding liberties. And they said this meeting, which was private, did not require a police permission, and police should not have refused. And when it comes to the style of advocacy, Ashok Desai has to say, the most complex situation, he will make it into a simple proposition. In fact, that was the time when MRTP Act was brought into force. And it was a new animal in the commercial zoo. That's exactly how Desai portrays it. And they traveled together from Bombay to Delhi to argue the matter. And as they traveled, the entire act got thorough in the mind of Naniji. And such a complex law, as many thought, he made it and spoke in the most simplest form for the court to understand and secure the relief. Minu Shroff, it is not what you get, it is what you give that makes worthwhile the life you live. This is a very, very important takeaway for youngsters. Today is an era where we all want how much we can take back. What is that this can give me? Every action, what is that it can promote me? What is that I will get in return? What is that I'll secure as a benefit? Even before contributing, we expect results out of it. Life doesn't work that way. Unless you contribute, don't demand. That's the essential principle of life. And Naniji selflessly kept on adding value in every sphere, including strengthening the pride and the privileges of this great nation. Ratan Tata. Nani was unforgettable because of his very great commitment to the society, to the various causes he pursued, and the principles he upheld. And because of his tremendous energy and his ability to communicate, in short, he will live in our memory because of his enormous powers of advocacy. Dr. P.C. Alexander was himself a very great person. If a count were to be made of 10 top good and decent men in India's public life, Nani Palkiwala's name will find top place amongst them. The real greatness about him was, see, this sentence, as every professional should catch this message. It's a request. The real greatness about him was that he combined brilliance with goodness and supreme ability with utmost humility. We can talk hours together on this sentence. Today, we all believe in brilliance and in ability. We don't believe in goodness and in humility. Whereas, if you want to be, or if you want to at least do 1% of what Naniji has done, you need to combine both together in two sets to stand up firmly on what you believe and what you want to pursue. During Naniji's 80th birthday, this is what Dr. Alexander had to say. I'll be happy to be the chairman of Nani Palkiwala's 80th birthday celebration committee. After the function, as S. Divakar was escorting former Chief Justice of India, Justice Y.V. Chandrachud, to the lift, he told me, this is the first time Nani is not escorting me to the lift to see me off. Speaking at the function, Dr. Alexander described Naniji as the best finance minister the country never had. S. Divakara, I think this passage is again very important for any professional. He was truly a phenomenon which occurs in the rarest of the rare on the affairs of the nation to impact and influence positive discourse and policy making in critical areas. He did it with tremendous courage of conviction and without fear or favor. Quite apart from being an intellectual giant, he was highly passionate about preserving and strengthening essential virtues and values of our Constitution and democratic principles, as well as our spiritual ethos. What has also been striking to all of us was his intense humility and inimitable human touch with all those who worked with him, associated with him, and have aspired to be dear and near to him. Can you put it beyond this? Yeah, man, can you ever attempt, you attempt to define a human being, can you define beyond this? Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan published 2 small books authored by him, and both are classics: Essential Unity of All Religions and India's Priceless Heritage. Soli Sorabji, former Attorney General. Nani Palkhiwala was the greatest advocate that I had known. Very important, fame and fortune did not increase the hat size of the legendary Nani Palkhiwala, who was not born with a silver spoon. He filled the unforgiving minute with more than 60 seconds worth of distance run. And what is more, he walked with kings, yet lost not the common touch. What a classic usage. He walked with kings, yet lost not the common touch. This is a very, very important message all of us should read. Vansi Mehta. Indeed, I believe the comment made by Einstein after Mahatma Gandhi died would be very apt. He said that the future generation would scarcely believe that a person like Mahatma Gandhi ever lived in flesh and blood. That would also be true for Nani Palkhiwala. C.R. Irani. Chief Justice S.R. Das had earlier offered, they pressed him to accept judgeship of the Supreme Court direct from the bar, adding that if he accepted, he would be the Chief Justice of India for a decade and would be able to mold the superior judiciary in his image. I will tell you the reason why he declined next couple of slides. President Jimmy Carter, when he was ambassador in the US, spoke to me of his boundless respect for Nani's intellect and personality, and how he was proud to call Nani a friend. In fact, there is an incident about this. In one of the meetings, Jimmy Carter's mother met Naniji, and she was casually expressing that she liked Indian chappals. You know what Naniji did? He requested somebody to bring a paper, bent and requested Jimmy Carter's mother, Lily Carter, to stand on the paper, and he took a pencil and started to draw. This was captured in the press, and 3 out of 4 simply ignored it because they knew Nani. One of them commented the other way, and overall, the general impact which he could create amongst the minds of those who are present is an ambassador of a nation. How simple he is, as he virtually paid respect to the limited expectation of somebody who is in the rank of his own mother. That's how the article ends. Zia Modi, when all the while we have been talking about Naniji, Zia has said this. Nargis, Nani's wife, spent her entire life dedicated to make Nani's life better. Nani remains a legend because of also that reason. Ravindra Narayan. We saw the slides, couple of slides before C.R. Das, when he made Justice Honorable Das, when he made a request for Nani to take the Supreme Court post in 1963. Naniji refused. Why? Because he flew from Mumbai to Delhi and he was to fly to Tokyo. Before that, he requested Ravindra Narayan, sent a sealed cover and requested his office to deliver it to somebody in Meerut and secure their view in sealed cover and bring it back to the airport as he is to take a flight to Japan. So his office brought that sealed cover. There was an astrologer in Meerut. He sent his horoscope to find out whether he can take up this position. And the astrologer had opined that it may not be favorable or advisable for him to take the position, and he declined. The second, which Ravindra Narayan records, which many of the authors have recorded, is what a host any party. He would take all the pains to receive each one of them. And if they are guests at his home, he will closely watch what they eat and what interests them, and encourage or induce them to take it more and more. And once dinner is over and when they are about to leave, he will walk with them, come down in the lift and ensure they board the car and wave a good night and come, whoever it is. Atiti Devo Bhava, something which he had practiced all throughout his life. And that is why former Chief Justice Chandrachud says to Divakar on his 80th birthday, after attending it, and when he alighted the lift, he said, the first time I don't find Nani around me, trying to get me into this lift. Fali Nariman, and he has his own style of explaining what Nani is all about. See, Fali Nariman was conferred the honor of delivering the first memorial lecture of Nani Palkhiwala. And in his first memorial lecture, he recollects one incident which he had an opportunity to experience in the United States. It's a meeting of the International Bar Association in New York, and the Chief Justice, New York State Court of Appeal, presided it. So he took his wife and showed to her the court where he presided, where he used to preside. And the learned judge showed to his wife the chair and said this, see, this is Cardoso's chair, and this is where I will sit. People who have fair acquaintance with American jurisprudence knows Cardoso was one of the greatest judges America has produced. And his books, his judgments are revered even today. And the lady replied to her husband, yes. And after 50 years and 5 more Chief Justices, it will still be Cardoso's chair. And Nariman says, no matter how illustrious a speaker, it will always remain to be only a Nani Palkhiwala memorial lecture. A speaker cannot eclipse that fame and name of Naniji. And Nariman also narrates one interesting incident when he went along with his wife and stayed for a day as a guest in the official residence of Indian ambassador in the US, which was Nani Palkhiwala, which he did it for 2 years at the request of the then Morarji Desai government. And in the early morning, as they were taking a stroll in the garden, Naniji showed a gardener and said, Fali, do you know this man draws twice my salary? And Fali writes further to say, I never found any discontentment in my attitude or the mind of the man, because he goes writing, Naniji spent almost, in 1977, remember, almost 2 lakhs of his own funds every year to maintain the pride and prestige of India in the USA. Nani filled the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds of worth the distance run, always in high gear, always in top speed, which is something which Soli also shared. Justice Nariman, when he was the briefing counsel to Naniji, and it came before a very, very learned judge, but he had a philosophy to support socialistic movement. So when the argument was going on a very high scale, when their lordships expressed their view that India should still tread the path of socialism, this is what Naniji has to say. Has your lordships quite finished? The learned judges replied, yes. Palkhiwala then dropped his voice to be almost inaudible and started with the words, not even there is an expression used which I have not put it here, would you ever dream of jumping across the wall from West Berlin to East Berlin? And Honorable Justice writes, this one sentence destroyed the case on socialism. And needless to say, Minerva Mills was a resounding victory in favor of the citizens. This is an interesting passage. Parasaran Sir, former Attorney General, again known for his wit and humor, he had a chance to argue the Lohia Machines case as an Attorney General against Naniji. And what was interpreted by the court was borrowed capital is not capital employed in the business to provide for certain relief. So after the case was succeeded by the Attorney General, then they met each other. This is what Parasaran Sir has said to Nani. I said in a lighter vein, Nani, you argue that borrowed capital is capital employed in the business. I employed only my borrowed capital, the knowledge I got from others, not my own knowledge, and succeeded in the case. Justice Ranganathan, he used as he ends his article, he uses a Sanskrit adage, Na bhutho na bhavishyati. There has not been one in the past, and there will not be one in the future, any such person. I will repeat one more time what Soli has said. He has captured the 3 important international appearances of Nani. Nani's representation in international fora. The first one was the special tribunal in Geneva, appointed by the United Nations to adjudicate upon Pakistan's claim to the enclaves in the Kutch. The second was the International Civil Aviation Organization at Montreal. And the third was an appeal before the ICJ at The Hague to counter Pakistan's claim against India. And he writes in that article, working on democratic constitution, Granville Austin, a very, very renowned author, has referred to the name Palkhiwala in 16 pages of his book. And he recalls the citation given to Naniji by Princeton University, New Jersey. Defender of constitutional liberties, champion of human rights, has courageously advanced his conviction that expediency in the name of progress, when at the cost of freedom, is no progress at all, but retrogression. Lawyer, teacher, author, and economic developer, he brings to us as ambassador of India, intelligent, good humor, experience, and vision for international understanding. Our present Attorney General, K.K. Venugopal. Nani was one of the giants of our age. He was a public figure, a man of principle, discipline, hard work, and perseverance. His illness in his later years left in him unable to do all that he wished for the future of our country. It is upon us to continue to safeguard our Constitution. Generations of lawyers owe him a great debt, for he has left with us core principles and values to protect and preserve the Constitution. His life and story will remain an inspiration for all Indians, young and old, for all times to come. There's an interesting comparison by one Mr. Vinay Sitapati between Nani ji and former Prime Minister of India, Narasimha Rao. He says this: Bombay Babaji espoused a liberal conservative vision. The Telugu Bidda was a progressive socialist. Both did law in Maharashtra. Steady rise, one in Bombay Bar and the other in politics. First 3 decades of independence seemed as if Rao's view would prevail over Naniji. Naniji fought against the ever-growing power of the ever-expanding bureaucracy, which is firmly convinced that the citizens exist for the state and not the state for the citizens. Naniji enforced the view continuity of memory is necessary for sanity of an individual. Very, very important. We can't forget our past. Continuity of a nation's traditions and culture is necessary for the sanity of the nation. And advocated ancient Indian culture must be taught in schools and colleges. Naniji remained a liberal conservative and not a total liberal. Rao in the later years started to hold the portfolios of finance, commerce, and industry. When he was pushed into retirement in April 1991, Rao could have ended up his career as a conviction socialist, worlds apart from Naniji. But history records it otherwise. However, he became the prime minister and inherited an economy approaching catastrophe. Decade-old views gave way to new thought and led into globalization. And finally, after 40 years, he won the hearts of Nani. This is what Nani has to say about Rao. For the past 40 years, this country has suffocated and strangulated by rules, restrictions, licensing, and bureaucracy. Today, for the first time, he can at least breathe freely. And 3 years thereafter, he stopped delivering budget speeches. Satish Teja. This is what Nani says when he was 50 years old as a chairman of ACC. Perhaps there is no other country on earth which has in such ample measure all the enterprise and skill needed to create national wealth, and which takes such deliberate and endless pains to restrict and hamper its creation. H.P. Ryan, he used to repeat time and again that if Indians had been half wise but twice their integrity, India would have been one of the greatest nations on earth, a nation worthy of its civilization of 5,000 years. Every democracy needs to have an aristocracy. This is very, very important. I think youngsters should understand what democracy means. And he says, who should be part of the engineering structure of democracy? Who should be part of public life? Every democracy needs to have an aristocracy of talent, knowledge, and character. It is this aristocracy which must take to public life, however distasteful it may be. If democracy is to survive in India, we must go all out to grant the highest recognition to ability, knowledge, and integrity. Ancient India was great because it was as enamored of learning as modern India is of petty politics. India is eternal and everlasting. Though the beginnings of our numerous civilizations go so far back in time that they are lost in the twilight of history, she has the gift of perpetual youth. Her culture is ageless and is as relevant to our 20th century as it was 20 centuries BC before. Our most respected elder statesman, Rajagopalachari, said, Nani was God's gift to India. However, Nani sincerely believed that India was God's gift to him. I'm coming to the last two sections. Up to this, it portrayed the expressions and words and thoughts of elderly statesmen and great people and stalwarts who had interacted with Naniji. This is all just a few article snippets of them. When Nani was just 29, 30, he wrote all these articles. I just share a couple of them. And the final part will be 3 or 4 slides by family members of Naniji when he fell ill, how he took it. And with it, we'll wind up this presentation. So a couple of articles I thought I will just share it with you on. This is what he commented about newspapers. Say, when he was 30, in 1950, 70, 75 years back, and it is true even today for media. They tell you about what had happened in the world, what never happened in the world, what is going to happen in the world, and what in all probability is never going to happen in the world. And interestingly, on liquor, Nani has a different view than the usual conventional writers or speakers. Man cannot defeat man's nature. If you take a drop too much and dance at polka dance on the public pavement or in the middle of Queen's Row, the long arm of the law will catch you by the neck. But if you are half seas over or in plain language, drunk, and sing Drink to Me Only, most plaintively in your easy chair, the longest arm of the longest penal code in the world cannot extend an eel towards you. If drunkards are a nuisance, the remedy lies in preventing people from being drunkards, but not preventing people from drinking. The government cannot say, because some are drunkards, nobody shall drink. Then the government might as well say that because some are gluttons, nobody shall eat. This is one view, possibly slightly discordant to the conventional view. As we see today, when it comes to the lower strata, it simply ruins families. And the public law or the arm of law is not adequate enough to reach them. But this is, he believes in conservative liberalism. Just I thought I should just put this right there. This is a comparison between Mahatma and Churchill in one of his articles written way back. Mr. Winston Churchill is terribly clever, but he has never understood one thing. He has never understood the presence of a toothless man in the loin cloth can translate a village into the capital. He has never understood how it is that when Gandhiji smiles, it's a public event, and when he doesn't, it is a chapter in history. On democracy, after the war is won and the world is made safe for democracy, we should try to make democracy safe for itself. With this, we close the article section. On romance of law, contempt of court, he brings out 2 very, very nice pieces. Evidently, volcanic rage was the favorite indoor sport of historic Johns, Of course, it is no contempt merely to tear up the writ of summons in the presence of the officer of the court, because once the service is lawfully effected, the court is indifferent to the treatment of the stationery. In old days, people who were guilty of contempt in the presence of court had their right hands cut off. An Act of Parliament of Henry VIII provided for the execution of this barbarous sentence, but also for the kindly after treatment of the offender minus the right hand. The Act, in its infinite kindness, provides that the victim shall have a surgeon at hand to sear the stump of the right hand, a sergeant of the poultry with a cock ready for the surgeon to wrap about the stump, a sergeant of the pantry with the bread to eat, and a sergeant of the cellar with a cup of red wine to drink. The law may be an ass, but it has now become a gentleman and no longer provides for barbarous sentence. The last 3 or 4 slides talk about how Palkhiwala lived his. Yes. This is something written by one of the cousins, one of the relatives of Palkhiwala. I would request you to follow this and see. Before I start reading, I think I should give a preface to it. A karma yogi, if he experiences this in his life, in the end of his life, this is how he would be or she would be. Once you are a karma yogi, all you need to finally expend is your karmas. Irrespective of what your sufferings could be, it would be a sufferings for the rest of the world. You will pass through it with the greatest grit, greatest courage, and nothing to crib. And Nani proved it so, says the family members. Many tell of his indomitable courage as he tackled the government head on in the courts and in the budget speeches. I wish they could have seen him struggling against himself. No sign of self-pity or desire for help as he strove to walk, to eat, and to be verbally understandable. Hit as he was, stroke after stroke after stroke, 3 major and several minor ones. Some have seen him exceptionally hospital and sometimes exhausted to eat some more. I wish they could have seen him unable to feed himself and yet trying his damnedest to pass the salad with totally unable hands. Tens of thousands remember his lectures, how they were mesmerized by his learning, wit, and mystifying command over the minds and hearts of his listeners. How I wish they could have seen him on the listening end, absorbing a moving story from Chicken Soup for the Soul, or a touching passage from the Gita, unable to say a word, but with a tear or two clearly trickling down his cheek. So many of his colleagues have seen him put the welfare of his country, his cause, and his people above him. I wish they could have heard him suffering as he was with multiple bypasses, valve replacement, and several strokes, talking to my father about his wife Nargis, who needed regular blood transfusions. She has been helpful to all, he said. Why does she have to suffer so? The multiple health problems he suffered certainly broke his body, but they couldn't break the man. he remained the unsurpassable juristic intellect, the magnificent mover of national opinion, the philanthropic phantom, and the supremely hospitable host. This is by Dan Palkhiwala. Nothing could reduce his speed of work, neither writer's falsy, appendectomy, hernia repairs, removal of kidney stones, cataracts, nor open heart surgery. It was to be seen, to be believed how he worked. For the last 4 years, it was a torture for us to have watched him fly, to see him barely able to take a step. So painful to see the ace orator unable to utter a sentence comfortably. On some occasions, Nani tried to speak, but both sound and words eluded him. This is very, very important to say how he was a karma yogi. Yet, there was no irritation, no frustration, no trace of anger on his face. It was hard to watch, but a lesson to learn how a man can bear his cross with complete calm and magnanimity. And this is what Berham has to say about Naniji, which will be the final slide. He speaks about what is likely to be Naniji's next birth. In the intellectual field, Nani has achieved the ultimatum. This is the last of his life on the mental plane. In his next life, he will be doing spiritual work with the help of intellectual work he has amassed. Work of the type done by Swami Vivekananda and Paramahamsa Yogananda. Therefore, Nani is now working out the karmas of his past and present mental life so that he can hereafter begin his spiritual work with a clean slate. I must thank Gujarat Chapter and Institute of Chartered Accountant, Bishan Bhai in person, and all of you for giving me this opportunity, which I consider it priceless, to be part of a contribution to Naniji. And I close the slide with a humble offering to a great legend, supreme human being, a saint who remained detached to everything he could connect with and will ever remain an irreplaceable, multifaceted legal mukta for times to come. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti.